I started this thing. I don't even know what I'm doing now. No one's talked to me. No one's shown me anything. I'm not sure where I'm at. I'm not sure where I'm going. So people's first thing is, I think I've been scammed, or I think I've made the wrong decision. I'm scared. I want my money back. So having a roadmap reduces buyer's remorse as well, because you're giving people, they come off the high of making a decision. Oh, I'm so excited. And then they're bang straight into clarity. And they're like, I can see where I'm going. And then inevitably there is going to be a drop. People always drop. New becomes normal. But it's when it becomes normal, you can show them where they're at and why what they're feeling is normal, because it is. Hey there, expert. If you're a consultant looking to grow your practice to 500K and beyond, then this masterclass is a preview into some of the strategies and tactics we teach our experts around sales, marketing, and how to create high converting offers and delivery system so they can enjoy more profit without sacrificing their lifestyle. Now, if you like this session, please give us a like, a subscribe, or even comment, as every bit of engagement helps get this message out to more people. Anyway, enjoy the masterclass, and we hope to see you in person, on a call, or at one of our events soon. Good to see everyone here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got a masterclass. We're going to be talking about retention and a roadmap. But what we're also going to be talking about is like why retention is even important to begin with. Because you might be in a place where you're like, well, I only have one client. You might be in a point where you're like, I don't have, I only sell a workshop, or I do a one-off thing. So like retention for me is really like a really weird point. The thing I think about retention, and the thing that we've got to really consider as expert consultants or coaches, is that retention is not just about a function. It's about a mindset. Now, I think a lot of people come into business and their mindset is, I've just got to make a sale. And what we forget is that at the end of that sale is a person, is also a journey. And you are a part of that journey, and you can be as long a part of that journey or as short a part of that journey as you choose. So retention is about your vision for your business as much as it is about your vision for that client. And I think the hardest part that we see as founders and CEOs is that we run out of vision for our business, and therefore we get surprised when other people don't continue or don't want to stay. No one can be clearer about your business than you are. No one can be clearer about what's next for them than you are. Nobody. It's like on the weekend, I'll tell you a quick story. I went out for an early Mother's Day with my wife's family, and we went into the restaurant. We sat there, and normally what happens, you get someone, they come in, they say, there's your seat, you sit down, and you kind of understand what you're going to do when you go to a restaurant, right? Like just in the chat, in the comments, let me know, what do you think you're going to do when you go to a restaurant? Everyone, just in the chat. What do you think? Catherine, Rob, Anthony, humor me. What are we going to do? Team, what are we going to do at a restaurant? Eat. Yeah. Order, eat, drink, chat. Restaurant, food, right? So that is how people look at their consulting or coaching businesses. People come to me for coaching. People come to me for consulting. People come to me for insert word. The thing about the restaurant is, yes, we go there to eat, but what are we really going to the restaurant for? We're going there for an experience. And ordering food at a restaurant is not what we go to a restaurant for. I can eat food at home. But you're exactly right, Rob. We want to go to a restaurant, we want to eat. How much money we spend at the restaurant is really linked to the experience that we have in the environment that the restaurant gives us. It's a service thing, it's a food thing, it's a drink thing, it's the music, it's the atmosphere, it's how the restaurant makes you feel, it's who you're with. And so when we sell coaching or consulting, even if you say, well, like I said, Ryan, like for me, my clients come because all they want is they just want coaching, or they just want consulting, they just want leads, they just want marketing, they just want sales. It's the same thing as a restaurant owner saying, people just come to our restaurant to eat. They don't. The reason they might come to eat once, but if the experience is poor, they won't come back to eat again. They will not retain your customer loyalty. So when you design a program, you're not just designing a product, you're also designing an experience. And an experience is something that is unique to you. For example, someone could do what Catherine does and say, well, I do wellness coaching. I do like a life coaching, or you insert the word that people may label you as, Catherine, and they might say, yeah, I just do that. I do the same thing. But what they can't replicate is the experience. They can't replicate that. How many Mexican restaurants are there in your capital city? Just Google it. What's the difference between the ones that have 5-star and the ones that have 1-star? Experience. What's the difference between why a client would stay with you and why they would go somewhere else? Experience. So we're going to explore this topic of retention today. And it's one of those topics we just sort of push aside because we don't believe that it's relevant to us now. Because as I said, you might not have a client. You might only have one client. You might not have the model for a client. But the reality is that you have to design your program or your service for an experience. Because ultimately, that's what somebody's paying you for, an experience. And they want a journey. So this roadmap, this idea of a roadmap, is everybody grab a piece of paper and a pen if you don't have one. And what I'd like you to do is we're just going to draw basically like a little line like this. And something that does that. And we're just going to split it into 3, right? If you think about your business like a roadmap, I wouldn't necessarily worry about getting this perfect. The principles and concepts that we're going to give you today are something that you want to explore and consider as you move forward. And this may be something that is not relevant to you now. It might be something that's relevant to you maybe in the near future or the later future. But the one thing I know is that I always think about the experience before I design the product, because the product is not the experience, it's part of the experience. And so at the end of it, at the end of the day, you know, if I come back and I just draw a star right here at the top, and I think to myself, well, what is it that people really want? If someone could make an amazing transformation at your hands, amazing transformation at your hands, and they came into your program and they achieved this amazing transformation, and they could say that 3 things happened to them as a result, what 3 things would that be? What 3 things would they put down to ensure that you transform their life? Would it be a money thing? So normally it comes down to a couple of things: money, time, energy. Right? So time is often about progress. Money is about resource. Energy is about lifestyle. In a way, isn't it? More energy you have, the more vitality you've got. The more vitality you have, the better your life is all round. Time, progress. How long is it going to take? How short it's going to take? Money, resource. Money is also about security, right? So am I going to have more wealth or less wealth? Am I going to save money? Am I going to make money? And normally our businesses will revolve around one of those 3 areas as part of what we do. And so when you think about what you do, you're not just doing lead generation, you're actually making a difference in someone's life. So if I looked at it and you think, well, cool, what's the ultimate goal in your business? You write those 3 things down. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to consider now, what are the 3 things that would have to happen, or that would happen for someone to be like, oh my God, you changed my life. An example. It could even be an example. They've made a certain amount of money. They have a certain amount of time, or they can do something in a certain amount of time. Energy. They're able to do something or be someone in their life they couldn't be or do have that before. Life is better, easier. What is it? So you want to put that together. You want to put that together and you want to think about it for a second. At the top of that is what we call hope. Every time you get out of bed, every time you make a decision, every time you go somewhere or do something, there's a level of hope because we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know whether, we married the right person when we do it. We don't know. Everything is about hope. I hope I did. I made the best chance at it. I did it, I hope. And so the hope is what we put into it, and the hope is what starts to drive the intent, and the intent then starts to drive the action starts to drive the outcome. So if we write that down, this is really important. We're going to link this. If I have a hope, then I have intent, right? I hope this happens. Well, now you've got an intent. If I have an intent, now I know what I need to do, what actions I need to take, and what actions I need to take lead to the opportunities that I want. Retention are about those words. All of that is underscored by the word retention. So the thing is, when somebody comes to you, they have a hope. I hope I can win my next tender. I hope I can make money online. I hope I can build a really solid referral network so I don't have to worry about business BD as much. I hope I can find time in my life to enjoy, to spend time with my kids. I hope. So what do? They start looking. They have intent. That's their intent. My intent is to fulfill that need. My intent is to want to get an answer or a solution to that problem. They find you. Now you give them an action plan, right? Or you help align their actions to the outcome that they want. You speed it up. As you speed it up, they start to see and realize opportunities. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not, sometimes it takes longer than they want. But ultimately, retention is about a journey. It's not about an outcome. But first, we need to understand why people come to you in the first place. So we have all of our things in the Expert Project. We've got the money model. We've got the offer ascension stuff. But I just want to break it down really clearly for you guys today. What are the 3 things that people hope happens once they work with you for an extended period of time? What would the big transformation be? In the chat, put down what are the 3 things that you believe your audience would go, I've got those 3 things. I'm pumped. I've achieved my biggest goal. I've waved a magic wand. My life is infinitely more easier, secure, fun. What would it be? Hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, please like, subscribe, and comment. Getting this out to more people is why we do it, and hearing from you makes it all worthwhile. So please let us know. And by the way, if you'd like more information about the Expert Project, head on over to expertproject.com/launch, where you can tell us a bit more about your business, what you might be needing, how we might be able to help, and book a call with one of our team so we can help you grow your consulting business today. What would it be? You want to think about this. It's important. What is it? What are you 3? Great. Rob, perfect. That's what they want. That's their hope and dream for their business. Perfect. They want to find opportunities. They want to land more meetings, and they want to win more tenders. If you could put a dollar sign on that, what would be, let's get more specific. Rob, I think if I was to go down deeper into what you're saying, Rob, this is like the big outcome is they always know where to find our RFPs. They always have calendars full of decision makers that they don't know but are influential. They understand how to shape RFPs, and they're constantly winning tenders. Speaking outcomes, that's what they want, right? Anthony, make money. Great. They're consistently making money online. 2, they don't need to hustle hard in person or do a lot of in-person coaching. 3, they have a sustainable lifestyle. They work part-time at best and they enjoy their life. I want you guys to talk. I know that you're just writing that in the chat. I want you to paint a picture here. They make all the money they need online using with their IP turning into income. Like paint a picture. Really paint a picture. Catherine, meaningful relationships. Every relationship you have fills you with joy. You have your ideal job. The thing you do is it fills you with purpose. The income you make sustains your life and gives you a lot of choice and freedom. See the difference? You've got to paint a picture here. No one wants leads. No one wants sales. No one wants tenders. What they want is a feeling that comes from that. And so retention is, you might think, this is a bit, this is not necessarily true. Maybe not for everyone. But what's the downside of being this clear? What's the downside of not being this clear? So you got to choose the downside. So imagine this. 50 to 100% new business growth per annum. Predictable leads without the hustle. So sales become far more predictable because leads are coming from warm, known sources every week. You're able to scale your business because you've got more opportunities coming in. You can actually charge what you're worth and build the business you want because you're not desperate. You've now got you've got more demand than you have supply. You now have choice. These are the kind of words you want to use. So the way I see it is, if that's your opportunity, this is your opportunity here. What you've got to think about is right at the front here, does your service and your offer help them achieve those 3 things? Does it link? And the thing that you want to ask yourself is, does it help them do it faster, more efficiently, so that they can achieve that result sooner? That's how you create great products. You look at the outcome and you reverse engineer it back. I'm going to go through this in just a second. We're going to fill this out. But you want to make sure that there is alignment, right? Alignment. So when it comes to a roadmap and retention, what I'm going to get you to do is we're just going to switch gears for a second, because I'm going to inject a couple of practical ingredients here that we're going to look at and we're going to dial in and we're going to use. So I'm just going to draw it like a quadrant. And we're going to explore a couple of things. Retention is not just about one thing. It's about a collection of many things. It's not just about, getting a result often. It's about other things. People, as I said, people don't just come to a restaurant to eat. People come to a restaurant to experience the restaurant. Food is a part. It's not the only part. And so the first thing that you want to look at when you're retaining people is we want to look at results. First things first is, does your program, this is not about where people get stuck here, guys. People go, well, what if they don't get a result? Well, no. What if they do? What you've got to remember is that you can't be responsible for how fast someone is willing to learn, how engaged someone is willing to be, and how fastidious they are about focusing on the behaviors that are required to get the outcomes that they say they want. For example, if I gave someone a bowl of food and they're hungry but they choose not to eat it, does that mean my food doesn't make someone full? If I've got a starving person and I bring them a bowl of food and they choose not to eat it, does that mean my food does not make someone full? So I should not say to somebody, my food will fill you up because it didn't fill this one guy up who refused to eat my food. Bullshit. At the end of the day, does your program do what it says for the person who is willing to receive it? And if the person is willing to receive it and they show up and they do the work and they are accountable and all of those fun things, does it get them a result? And if it does, there are two types of results. The first result, these are the results you want to track, guys. There is tangible and there is intangible. Intangible is often about belief or internal growth. Intangible is often internal. I feel more confident. I feel more clear. I'm seeing progress now. I'm believing more in myself. Intangible are internal wins. Internal wins. Just because people haven't made money doesn't mean they're not building wealth inside of themselves. You know, if you want to build external wealth, you yourself have to become wealthy internally. And so the thing that we discount often is when people are in your program is what are the internal wins that you're having. And the next one is obviously external. It's stuff, things, money. I can measure it. And I think that's the thing. You can measure your tangible results. So as your clients work with you, it's important that you have a dialogue with the client where they can talk to you about the wins that they're having, the results that they're getting, week on week, month on month. Tangible, intangible. Both are important. Both are required. Both need to have expression and both need to be looked at. For example, if someone says, I haven't made money yet, but that person is not the same person they were when they started. And then all of a sudden after 6 months or 8 months or 12 months, something clicks and they have their first sale. It's like, ask yourself the question, how long would it have been if they were on their own with all the highs and lows? How long would it have been before they got that same win? Or if that win was even possible? Would they have put their prices up? Would they have packaged their program in that way? Would they have had that conversation? Would they have followed up that lead? Would they have run that event? Would they have made that offer? All of that comes from internal first. So the more internal wealth we build, the more external wealth we start to see. So results are really important. We need to track it. We need to measure it. We need to reflect it. Second thing about retention for your programs is relationship. Relationship is about connections with you and connection with others. The reason why group coaching programs are so important, but it's a double-edged sword, is because you meet other people. And when you become friends with people or connected with other people, it's sticky. You don't want to leave that community. You don't want to leave that program because you don't want to leave that person. You don't want to leave those people. You don't want to lose connection with those people, right? Like one of the big things, CrossFit that I've been part of for years does so well is it's not just a gym. It's not just exercise. It's community. So when I go there, I know I've got Mark and, I've got Amy, I've got Kelly, I've got George. We're all working out. We have a bit of banter. I know the coaches, Jimmy, and you start going, hey, Jimmy's here, and you got Maggie's coaching, and they get to know you. And so there's this richness in the connection, and there's a relationship. And even if you just do one-on-one, there's still a relationship that's built, right? the thing that I love about this part is that the only trouble with relationship is that it's often predicated on a feeling of being, as coaches, I don't know how to say this, I'm going to say it clumsily, so just excuse me. But often we worry about telling people what they need to hear, and we often reduce that and tell people what they want to hear because we don't want to lose the client, which is the worst thing you can do, because the best relationships are ones where you can be dead honest with somebody and tell someone what they need to hear. And even if they don't like it, they respect it. And I've often said to Vaughan, I would rather people leave because we were too honest and upfront and we cared too much than the opposite. So relationship is not always about being liked. Relationship is also about being respected. It's about having sometimes hard conversations. That can actually build a relationship. It doesn't always lead to a lost relationship. The third thing which is why it comes sort of under results, is recognition. And recognition is about giving somebody, exposing something. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Recognition is about acknowledgement. That's the word. It's about acknowledging somebody's where they're at and often the progress they have made. Because most people in our world, we're often chasing something we don't have yet. Right? We're constantly chasing something we don't have yet. So it's easy for clients and us to live in what I call the gap. We're constantly living in a hole. We don't look at where we've come from. We only look at where we're going, and therefore we only ever see this chasm. And then we judge ourselves. We're like, well, I must be pretty shit because I'm not there yet. But what you don't actually do is go back and go, yeah, but look where I've come, look what I've created, look what I've done. And I believe as a coach or a consultant, you've got to acknowledge someone when they do something great, and you've got to also reward their progress. Reward progress. So acknowledge where someone's at and reward progress. We give awards. For us, that's a way of acknowledgement. It might be, guys, as simple as a message, a handwritten card, an email. It doesn't need to be fancy. Sometimes the smallest little pieces of recognition have the biggest impact. Just that quick check-in, those little things that make a big difference. Last part of this is rhythms. Rhythms. Rhythms are really important when it comes to retention or the delivery of a program, because what it does is it creates an expectation. And people want consistency and predictability. That's what people want. They want consistency and predictability. So to be consistent, let me spell that again. They want consistency and predictability. But, everyone ready for this? This is the big thing. On top of that, people want variety. Consistent, predictable variety. That's the rhythm they want. Because think about Netflix. It's consistent. It's constantly there. It's constantly looks the same. It's predictable. I know where to find things. I know how it works. I know where the menus are. I know that it's always on. It's always ready. It's always consistent. It doesn't just change all of a sudden. It knows my preferences. It knows all this. So it's consistent. It's predictable. I like that. But it also has variety, doesn't it? Oh, new shows just dropped. Hey, something you might like. This month we're launching this. We're dropping this week. Next month, add to your playlist. This is what's coming up. Countdown. Think about your program as a rhythm. And when you add these things together, this is what creates retention. Because retention is about the delivery of an experience, not just coaching, not just lead generation, not just sales, not just winning tenders. All of that is important because that's why someone comes to you, but how someone feels when they're part of your program or when they work with you comes down to these things. See, often it's very easy for us to think that the way everyone thinks, the way Derek thinks and feels must be the same way that I think and feel. And so what we do is we build a program based on what we would like. We don't build a program based on what the human experience would like. So what I'd like you to do is, you've got your little roadmap here. I'd like you to start thinking of a couple of things, right? We're going to have a bit of a play. So at the end, you've got your big result. What I'd like you to do is, for fun, I would like you to break down. So you might only put 1 or 2 things here. You don't need 3. But all I'd like you to do is you take these big things here, the big things they've got, and what we're going to do is we're going to reverse it. So, for example, I put 500K as a goal, working 4 days a week and 20 clients. See, that's what I would say. If I got someone to that goal, that would be a win for me. I'd be like, bang, you're in the right spot. You've done the right thing. That's the aim. So if I reverse engineered it, I know that someone's not just going to go from start to finish, are they? It's not going to happen because everyone's at different spots. But my program doesn't have to be in a different place. Like we can always get people to focus on different things at different phases and different stages. So the question would be, what has to happen if we reverse engineered it back before they get to 500K and 20 clients 4 days a week? What would they need to get to? What's the step before that you think is possible? And so you reverse engineer it. It might be for you that you focus on one of these things at a time. It might be you focus on 3 things at once. So for example, I might say, well, the first thing that we're going to focus on, if I reverse engineered, I might say, look, I want to be at 300K. I've got 15 clients and I'm still working 5 days, or I'm working 4.5 days. For example, this is just an example, and then I reverse engineer it back, and that's the journey. Or I might say that my goal here is I'm at 400K, but the big focus here is on sales, and we're going to help them they're at 10 clients. So this phase is really just about sales, focusing on sales. Sales is the goal here. So it's a theme. This phase is sales. You know, for us, it could be like we start with our model, we start with our messaging, then we go to our monetization. But what I tend to find is that people need to see wins in the 3 areas of your money model. So as we talk about the money model, most of the time, the 3 things that are around here, it's almost like people start off at a baby version, then they move to a bigger version, and then they move to the biggest version. So if we look at it and we go, this is the biggest version of your triangle here, what's the step down? So what would have to happen before? What would they need to say is happening prior to that transformation, so you know that they're making progress. If you don't show up, you don't engage, you don't do the work, you don't time goes out. But it's also about behavior, right? Behavior is the biggest reason why people quit is because they're unwilling to change their behavior. So they want the external result without the internal shift. And the internal shift is about time under tension. So it's getting somebody to change the way they act and think. That's far harder than consuming content. Anyone can consume content, but not everyone's going to change the behavior that they need to achieve the outcome that content gives them. So that's where what I've talked to you guys about today is super important, because at the end of the day, we're in the human change, we're in the change game, all of us. Because people want you because they're in a position where they need something different. You're in the change game. So like, you got to change the way someone thinks about what they're doing, and then give them the space and the time and the tension to, as they say, pressure builds diamonds. They either pop up or they pop out. And our aim is to help people pop up as much as possible. And that's where you're right. Doing the right things at the right time, in the right way, and then holding people accountable in the right places, the right peaks and troughs, is, being aware of where clients engage, where they don't engage, where they engage, where they don't engage. And then the goal of retention is obviously to increase engagement. Engagement equals retention at the end of the day. All of this stuff here that we're talking about is retention. It's engagement. All of this is engagement. All of this is engagement. So we take it one step further. And let me show you. Yeah. So we have like a little roadmap just for the first period, first 30 days. So people can kind of see what's going to happen in that first 30 to 90 days. You could do the same thing. Yeah, so I think having that roadmap of that is really important, right? So they can sort of see what's going to happen before it happens. But, so you can point at it. And I think that gives people confidence and comfort and certainty.
So I need to lay out that map.
Well, yes, yeah, simply though, don't have to go too nuts. Like, you think about like this here, like even that just shows people what we're going to be doing in that first sort of 90 days, right? It's not too detailed, but it just shows like, this is where you're at today. And then we're going to work on this. And then at the end of that, we're going to calibrate. Then we're going to work on this. And that's kind of just the first 90 days. But in the background, like when we go through this, we also have that roadmap where if I copy this and paste this, I don't know why it does this, paste, yep, and I clear it, you can see, like, I just put their goals in at the end, Vorno and I do, and then we sort of chunk it back, what's important to them in 6 months, and then what are the activities we need to do in the next 3 months. And then we kind of just step them through. Here's what it's kind of going to look like. You're here now. We're going to do that. Phase 2, we're going to focus on these things. Then phase 3, we're going to focus on these things. Is that is that helpful? And at the top, I'm just putting what they said is important to them, not what. So it's personal to them. It's like it's got underneath it is what we're going to do, and then we have all of these things that we talk about and stuff that we make sure people are orientated around. But ultimately, they're the top two things. This is kind of the bigger picture plan, and this is a bit of a micro plan, so they know, oh, cool, I know where I'm going to go. And it's just remember, when someone first starts, that first 90 days, giving people some structure and some clarity and some certainty, it also reduces buyer's remorse, because people are like, I started this thing, I don't even know what I'm doing now. No one's talked to me. No one's shown me anything. I'm not sure where I'm at. I'm not sure where I'm going. So people's first thing is, I think I've been scammed, or I think I've made the wrong decision. I'm scared. I want my money back. So having a roadmap reduces buyer's remorse as well, because you're giving people, they come off the high of making a decision. They're like, I'm so excited. And then they're bang straight into clarity. And they're like, I can see where I'm going. And then inevitably there is going to be a drop. People always drop. New becomes normal, but it's when it becomes normal, you can show them where they're at and why what they're feeling is normal, because it is. And they're like, okay, great. You validate their feeling, you validate where they're at, and then you show them the next step. And that's retention. That's essentially what we've been talking about today. So session that you guys might want to watch again and again, but ultimately remember, I understand some of you, the biggest focus right now is in really getting clear on your offer. Some of you, it's really getting clear on just focusing on marketing, getting more opportunities, getting that sprint out there. Others, it's really dialing in your sales process. Because ultimately, yes, retention is important. Retention is good because it helps you design a really good product, but we still need to validate our offer. We still need to make money. We still need to be able to turn that lead into a booking, into a sale. So those are the things we've got to prioritize if that's where you're at. I find once you're doing around 10K plus a month and you start to get a bit nervous because you're starting to lose a bit of time, having a good roadmap is the first place to systemizing and productizing your service and giving people a clear idea of what's coming and when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And that just makes everyone feel safe. Thanks for joining us today. Guys, we'll see you in the arena. Have a lovely day. Take care, hey, and bye for now. See you later. Bye, guys. If you've liked today's masterclass, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment so we can hear from you and get this out to more consultants just like you who are looking to grow their practices to 500K and beyond. Helping consultants find their true worth and commercialize it in the marketplace is why we exist. If you'd like to learn how you can grow your consulting business, head on over to expertproject.com. Learn a bit more about what we do, download some more of our free resources, or follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want a direct access link into one of our teams so we can learn a bit more about your business, what you're wanting to create, and how we might be able to help, head on over to expertproject.com/launch. Give us a bit of detail about you, your business, and we look forward to having a chat with you and helping you grow your consulting business. In the meantime, take care and bye for now.